If a debt ceiling deal is reached, the big challenge for the president and the speaker, of course, is to find enough votes to pass it. McCarthy's problem is the hardline Freedom Caucus. The president is the progressives, angry about any cuts in social programs. So joining me now is Steve Rattner, a former Treasury Department official in the Obama administration. Let's talk about this, Steve. Without charts, going to put you to the real test. You're so great with the charts.
That's harder.
But let's talk about the real concerns, because, first of all, they say that they have done, a smart thing where they've got sort of top-line numbers. They're not going to do the details so that they could say, well, that's going to happen in the appropriations process. That way the president could say, well, we said we were going to do that in the normal budget process, and it's closer to what he had called for as a clean deal. Both sides can claim victory, okay. But they haven't agreed on all the numbers yet. They haven't agreed even on the time frame of the debt ceiling being raised, 1 year, 2 years, longer, or is that $80 billion for the IRS going to be a $10 billion haircut or $20 billion? So how can they be this close without ironing out those kind of details?
Well, we don't know. As your correspondents just pointed out, we don't really know exactly where they are. Silence can sometimes be good news, but not always. And then there are issues beyond even what you said, Andrea. There's the question of whether there are going to be any work requirements around welfare, other public assistance programs, things like that. So we don't know. The reports seem to suggest that they are quite close on the basic spending point, which is that spending will be frozen. The question is it frozen at last year's levels or this year's levels, i.e. a little bit lower, a little bit higher, things like that. Look, there's an enormous amount of work to do, and there's also Kevin McCarthy's promise that he would give his members 72 hours to read any piece of legislation before it's voted on. And so it is certainly the ultimate in deadline pressure, but I'm cautiously optimistic that something good will come of that. And I think on balance, this looks like a better package than I would have predicted a few weeks ago. The Republicans, as you know, passed a House bill that was very draconian, spending cuts, all kinds of stuff. And I think if the Democrats can pull it off where there's simply a spending freeze for just 2 years instead of bigger spending cuts for 10 years, and then various other pieces, of course, that's not the worst thing that could happen here.
Now, a spending freeze is a cut because of inflation. So if you're spending money at 2022 levels, you're getting less money for each department already.
Sure. You've obviously been talking to Alan Greenspan for a long time. You understand this. That is true. But the Republicans were looking for outright spending cuts, massive spending cuts, as much as 40 or 45% if we're concentrated on the discretionary non-defense part of the budget. So again, it's not perfect, but I think it is better than I might have predicted a few weeks ago, if we get to this, of course.
And let me ask you about the possibility of the bond agencies, doing a downgrade. So Fitch, which is, less important, let's say, than Moody's or S&P, but they're a player, and they may have been trying to get ahead of the others by doing the warning. Would you expect that if this thing gets messy over the weekend, and they're already going to blow past that deadline, no matter what they do, if they don't do it today, according to our guidance, because there's just too many days, the 72 hours, plus the possibility of a Senate holdup? Mike Lee had said, he's not going to let it go. So is it possible that they would, in anticipation of them blowing past June 1st, do another, downgrade, and then the markets would be really obviously affected by that?
Well, first of all, of course, S&P already downgraded us in 2011 to AA minus. And so that, unless they're going to downgrade us again, that leaves really Moody's and Fitch. And the problem is that if we get a second downgrade, the country I'm talking about when I say we, then there are many funds, many money market funds and things like that can't buy our debt. And that has really adverse consequences. I think Fitch did the right thing in telling everybody this is what's out there. This is what could happen. This is what will happen if you guys really are dumb enough to let this country default. But I would like to think, and I don't know, I would like to think that the people at Fitch, and Moody's has said less about this, would at least wait until there's an actual default before they did something like this, because the consequences are so severe. So I would like to think this would happen after the fact rather than before the fact. And then of course, if we get a deal, hopefully we get out of this alive in terms of our bond ratings and we continue to issue debt.